This video is for the internal use of Genashtim. This is the first of a series of videos regarding our corporate culture. Our corporate culture is made up of 5 elements. We have coined an acronym. We call it DIGIRO, which stands for Determination, Initiative and Resourcefulness, Global Service Mentality, Integrity and Transparency, and Result Orientation. So this first video is regarding determination. This quote here, we are looking for determination rather than qualifications when hiring. With determination, you can learn and achieve anything. This quote is actually from me when I was interviewed by a TV station regarding what are we looking for when we hire people. So I want to kind of hold true to that. So in determination, there are 3 elements: focus, tenacity, and responsibility. Firstly, focus. And when we talk about focus, we need to be clear about what we are focusing on. This quote here from Franklin D. Roosevelt is one of the few corporate principles that I would like us to constantly be reminded about. This in particular is very useful. And this is a quote that says, rules are not necessarily sacred, principles are. And this is from Franklin D. Roosevelt, a past president of the United States. And this is what is important. And what it means is that everybody has to understand what they're doing. So you don't just do things because it is written somewhere or somebody told you or it is a rule. You have to question everything you do. You should not do something which you don't feel is adding value to the business. But don't stop doing it. You have to consult somebody. There will be a separate video regarding these principles, when I will cover them in more detail. So regarding focus, doing the right things is very important. I've been through many big companies, worked in these big companies, and realized that very often, they do a lot of things very, very well, but they sometimes forget about selecting the things to do, and sometimes they do the wrong things. So it is possible to do the wrong things and do them extremely well. So first and foremost is to pick the right things to do, and this actually then dials back to our corporate principle regarding rules are not sacred, principles are. So you have to know and to select what are the things that we should be doing. And of course, once that has already been decided, we have to make sure that we do it and do it right. Doing it right will have 2 aspects of it. One is quality. So we need to be able to do it better than anyone else in the world. We want to be a globally competitive business, so we have to be better than anyone in the world, bar none. And of course, quality always, can be delivered at a certain price. So for us, not only do we need to have quality, but we also need efficiency. Efficiency means speed and cost effectiveness. So you need to do something well and you take, 10 months to do it. It's kind of pointless because nobody's going to wait for you. Customers are not going to wait for you. And of course, if you take 10 months to do something which can be done in 10 days, then of course you are costing a lot. Costing the organization a lot in doing this. So always be very conscious about efficiency. And last but not least, work smart and not just work hard. You need to work smart. Ideally, if you can really, really work smart, you don't have to work very hard. I will be probably doing a few other videos about examples of working smart rather than working hard. But I can tell you that typically when you try to do something incrementally better, you tend to work harder than smarter. Say, for example, you want to increase efficiency or drop costs by 5% or 10%. Then what you do is try to squeeze things out of the system. So I would like people to focus on always looking at fundamentals. When you look at fundamentals, you build everything up from rethink about everything that we do. You can probably take a lot more time and cost out of something. Give an example, and I will elaborate this in other videos. Is that in my former companies, I've been able to shorten cycle times for certain things from say 6 days to 1 day. So if you try to to lessen the time from 6 days to 5 days, the tendency is to try to just tighten up everything. But if you are reducing it dramatically, then you have to rethink about everything you do and how you do it. The second aspect of determination is tenacity, and of course we have to look at this with a very conscious eye, in the sense of this quote from Albert Einstein. A definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So when I say don't give up, it doesn't mean that you keep doing the same thing over and over again without getting results. So when something doesn't work, you can't get the results that you want, you look for alternatives and you consult other people. But don't just pass the problem on to other people. You have to be the one to think through the issue first, because you are closest to the action. You probably it's the best person to find the solution. But sometimes you are not sure which solution that you should take. So when you consult somebody like your supervisor, your manager about a problem, you should be able to say, look, I've thought this through, and I've come up with these three options. I'm not so sure which one I should be taking. Then you can consult somebody. You don't just say, hey, I got a problem, I don't know what to do. So you need to be adding some value to the process. Second point in tenacity is a step-up procedure. And again, it's like, you don't just keep banging your head on the wall. You find alternatives. So step up can be step up on both sides. You can step up on our side internally. So if you are dealing with someone, an external organization, and you're not getting anywhere, you can always go to your manager and to the manager's boss, and you can come to me eventually, and we can try to then disentangle you from this blockage. The other step-up procedure is, of course, on the other side. So if it's a service provider or a client of ours and you're not getting anywhere, the thing to do is to look for the person's immediate supervisor. Of course, we have to do this without burning bridges with the person that we're dealing with. So sometimes, either we do it very diplomatically. I would tend to send a note to that person and say, look, I'm not getting any response from you. It's possible that my emails are ending up in the spam folder and you are not getting them. So that means you show them the respect that you don't think that they are just not responding. You think that they are not getting your messages. So I'm going to try to contact somebody else in your organization. And then that normally will prompt some action from them. So just bear in mind, this step-up procedure on both sides. Last but not least is, of course, be mindful that there are such things as lost battles and lost causes. So we have to recognize them, and if you have come far enough and realize that it's not going to happen, not every prospective client will become a client. Not every service provider will end up being our service provider. So we need to then say, look, this is not going to happen. But you need to seek consensus with your immediate supervisor. You can't just decide, well, I've tried and tried and tried and not getting anywhere, so I'm giving up on this and walk away. Because when you drop something, it has consequences. It could have consequences down the line. If you go back to the original earlier slide on doing the right things, so we decided it is important to do something, and when we give up this something as a lost battle or a lost cause, we need to then rethink back to why we wanted it in the first place and make sure that we cover our backside. It could be something that our customer wanted. It could be something that would be help our operations, overcome some difficulty. So if we decide to give it up, then we need to then realize the consequences and maybe inform a customer, take alternative action on the other side, and do some damage control. The last aspect of determination is responsibility, and there are three elements to this too. First of all, everybody has to take ownership of what they need to do, which means that that's something that you own. You need to have it done, and you don't need anybody to remind you. I think that's very, very important. And so you then every day when you log out and finish for the day, you have to think about, hey, I still haven't got this thing done, and make sure that you get it done at the appropriate time. Um, Second aspect of responsibility is accountability, and we all make mistakes, but just saying sorry may not be good enough, and making the same mistake over and over again and saying sorry over and over again is definitely not good enough, because when we mess up something, it will have an effect on others. So it could affect your colleagues who have to work a bit harder to cover up your mess. It could be something that will affect our customers, and we could lose business. And when we lose business, it means that everybody's going to work a bit harder. And if there's a serious loss of business, people might lose their jobs. So in order to make accountability, stick, we might have to come up with some kind of a penalty um, program. And what I want to do is not just penalize somebody for the sake of penalizing. I think whatever penalty is being imposed would be used um, to alleviate the difficulty that's been caused to other people. So so for example, if say okay, you mess up something and you get penalized for one NAD, this NAD will be given to somebody else, because somebody might have to work a lot harder to cover up your mess, and so um, should get an extra day off or an extra day's pay. The last thing on responsibility and the last thing on determination is feedback. Feedback is very important. It should be regular and it should be appropriate. If we don't want people to give excessive feedback or inappropriate feedback. Um, but it is important, again, back to the first earlier slide on doing the right thing. So we decided that something has to be done. So when something has been done, then there has to be some degree of monitoring that it is being done. And if there's any kind of things that happen that cause a delay, we should know, because again, back to the whole issue of making sure that whatever we want to achieve at the end and it's going to be delayed or going to be affected, that people are informed, there's damage control done, clients are being told, and not just that we miss deadlines. So everything we do has to have a reason. So even in recovering situations where we have made a mess or there's a delay, we have to give feedback. Thank you.